Welcome to Dynamo's Dozen, the podcast that we bring you each and every single week, where we talk about whatever may be on our minds from pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, music, movies, muesli, fresh socks and jocks, and everything in between, never forgetting the talc. You are very welcome back to Dynamo's Dozen and welcome to Survivor Series War Games Week. I am your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, joined as always by my co host, your favorite co-host and mine, the shopkeeper, Niall Hogan. Niall,
How are
talk to
we?
me, brother.
Exciting, isn't it? War games, Survivor Series war games. Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting. I like this kind of. I like when H makes these kind of
Even the
moves.
even the name,
Yeah,
even the name shows you
really
what
cool.
H is doing, doesn't it?
Yeah, and even today when I was preparing that beautiful thumbnail I sent you, the one that's an overview of the two war games cages, it's
Yeah,
pretty exciting, isn't it? Get your juices flowing really when you're thinking about it and stuff like that.
really exciting. Yeah,
And they've put together like it's not a huge card, but they've put together a really good card. So yeah, so it's really looking forward to it. Should be exciting. And again on a Saturday, and coming from that beautiful TD Garden in Boston, steeped in fight history. So yeah, exciting. All right, yeah, can't wait for it.
yeah. Shout out to Dazzler who couldn't make it tonight, but
Yeah,
he's going to be there live and in color. So
yeah,
it's pretty exciting for him and the missus as well, or
yeah.
maybe just him.
No, it's him and the lovely Rosanna are going. Yeah, absolutely, it's going to
Yeah,
be excellent. Yeah,
100%. So
we're we're
it's
not
cool.
we're not jealous at all.
Nah, not even slightly.
It's definitely
um,
it's definitely a stadium that's on our bucket list though. That's for sure.
100%. I suppose a little bit of yeah, not news as such. We'll get to the the one of the favorite segments, of course, this year in history, and of course the birthdays later. But we'll just get to, I suppose, just little touching points that we probably didn't even really plan. But obviously AEW Full Gear happened at the weekend, and again, they're kind of being found out for literally having stadiums that are half full, and their tapings, live gates and stuff like that are going down, but still, they're still there. Billionaires' money, they're still going to be there.
Mm.
A little bit of news as well. Yours truly was blocked by a moron. That is Dave Meltzer, Uncle Dave. Couldn't handle even like I've said worse things about Dave on here. I was literally blocked for basically Dave called out Joe Rogan for not getting one of the fighters' records right in a fight 2 weeks ago on UFC, and I just literally retweeted it and said the gall of this guy actually calling people out for bullshit, and he decided to block me. Little did Dave know that I also have two other accounts, and I was able to see that he shared it after blocking me. Big ballsy move, Dave. And I commented under a different guise then, saying maybe he was just calling out his opinion. um, a lot of butthurt Dave Meltzer fans out there when I tweeted it as well, saying all those Rogan fanboys can't take criticism. I was like, the state of pro wrestling, the basement dwellers really are real, aren't they?
It was it must have been a slow news week if the Wrestling Observer is focusing on mistakes that Joe Rogan makes.
You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. But look, leave them to it. Leave them to it. As I say, the basement dwellers are in full effect. One thing I wanted to call out, a couple of things that me and Kigo noticed. Shout out to Kigo.
Yep.
Um, the fuck CM Punk chants during the elite match, just absolutely ridiculous. Again, these are the same people that would probably lose their shit if Punk had to come out at the end of the show.
They're
You
the
know what
same
I mean?
people that have a wardrobe of CM Punk sitting at home hanging in their wardrobes.
Which they bought in your shop. You know what I mean?
Well, not those fans that are at the show. They wouldn't have bought them in my shop, but
Well, I don't know.
unfortunately,
Listen,
no.
there's
Well,
plenty of
maybe
Irish.
some of them might have. Yeah.
There's plenty of Irish basement dwellers too.
We often say on the shows, little apples grow on big trees, don't they? And what's
Absolutely.
the
And
other
then,
one? Eating bread is soon forgotten.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. It's a personal favorite of mine. I know, and it is quite relevant because these guys are throwing stones at everyone and anybody just to defend AEW, and like it's really not that great at the moment. Let's be honest. And we're not going to spend that much time on it this week. That's the good news.
Mm.
We're actually going to move right along. I actually switched off the pay per view after I heard. the TNA chance when Sting and Jeff Jarrett were in the ring, and I was like, you do realize they were in WCW too, yeah? It was kind of a bigger company, but
I'd have to say that would have been a highlight of the show for me based on what the show was. It was very much a very mixed bag, and you kind of feel sorry for MJF, don't you? Because it's kind of like, you know, they're just never happy, are they? They're just never happy. You
no,
get what you want, you're still not happy. And
no.
then when they're not getting what they want, then they try to shit on things any way they can. You know what I mean? And any way they can, excuse the phrase.
Yeah, they're the kind of guys and girls that would like, in their basement, of course, uh, would order that Hawaiian pizza and then go, oh shit, I don't like pineapple. I should have got the New Yorker. And you're like, you know what? Listen, give your man back her credit card. Talking to you, Colt Cabana, as well, because he's another jabroni this week who uh, basically put up a little sly dig over the week going, what was it? It was something like I'm on the side of the elite or something like that. And I was kind of going, what an absolute spanner you are. Like what a absolute spanner. Like, did you literally borrow your ma's phone for that? Did you ask her could you use her Wi-Fi? Did you ask her to revolute you 20 quid from her bank account? I don't know. Who knows? But Cole Cabana,
He
go
has
back home.
he has a vested interest in wrestling t-shirt businesses, let's say. So
Yeah,
I can fully understand why he would be siding with the elite.
he does. Why does he share a fucking bank account with his man then? So all I'll say is Dynamo's does this team CM Punk on this. And I think we should finish out the revelation, of course, of Triple H pretty much saying that he would absolutely have a conversation with CM Punk if he wanted to come back. That must be a stinger. And I will add, Tony Khan, after that, all of a sudden is speaking very highly of CM Punk again.
obviously, they didn't come to an agreement on the no compete clause, I presume.
I would say that's what hold it up. Yeah, give me an extra 3 mil and I won't compete for 6 months, no problem. While my arm is healing. But look, we'll park that one away. I'd just like to get a few digs in. Everyone knows that we like to poke fun. At the end of the day, even you basement dwellers that listen to the show, I love you.
You'll
And
end
I'm
up
gonna
with no
call you.
friends on Twitter. You do realize that, don't you? You're going to
You
run out
what?
of Twitter friends. You keep this up. You're gonna...
Oh, I'll have plenty. Don't worry. Don't worry. There'll be plenty of people that will want to listen to us. Trust me. Trust me. They still view, don't they? So
That's it. And drop a like
you know,
and hit the bell notification button and subscribe.
that's always true. And listen, anyone that knows what we promote here, it's all fun. It's all fun. We're poking fun. We're Irish. That's what we do. We bust balls, we break balls, and that's what we do. Look,
Absolutely.
if everyone's happy enjoying what they like, that's really what's important. At the end of the day, pro wrestling is kind of thriving still at the moment, and that's the main thing. And in no way, shape, or form have we become anti AEW in any way, shape, or form. If anything, we're going pick up the pace, lads. You know what I mean? Bring back the punk, and make money. Imagine imagine a 6 man Punk and two other guys. Imagine the money they can make. So we don't have an agenda here at all. We're just calling it like we see it. That's all. But let's get straight into the main event. Literally the main event this week. Let's talk about Survivor Series, which is in I suppose some people call it mini Dublin, but I mean it's twice the size of Dublin, Boston.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Great venue. Like we say, Dazzler is going to be there. Looks like a great card. You mentioned it's not a stacked card, but it doesn't need to be stacked. It's stacked in the right way. It's a solid card, and of course one of your favorite and mine, of course, pay per views, War Games intertwined with Survivor Series. H working that little genius brain of his, magic.
Magic, as they say.
2 rings. When is the last time? I mean, other than NXT, we have not seen 2 rings on a mainstream WWE pay per view
No, certainly.
ever.
I'm sure we probably have, but it's been a long, long time. I'd say.
No, never.
Have we not?
No,
I,
not on. And I mean, like on a mainstream WWE pay per view or
yeah,
NXT. Some
I'm not
people
too
would call it
sure.
mainstream, but not one of their
I
top.
thought they might have done something maybe after the buyout or something like that. It wouldn't be.
No,
Yeah, no, maybe
nothing.
not. Yeah, so But yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty. It's look, 2 rings, 2 cages. What more do you want?
People let us know in the comments, by the way, if we're wrong and if
Yeah,
I'm wrong, because
absolutely.
Niall is on the fence on this one. I'm kind of like putting me.
I'm not saying yes or no. You're saying never because you have
I'm
your
saying never.
WCW hat. This is a WCW thing, bitches, not
I'm saying
WWE.
never.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll know in the comments. If not, we'll check it out
Yeah,
ourselves anyway,
we'll
just
be
for fun.
corrected very quickly. Yeah,
Yeah, but absolutely, yeah. It's kind of stacked, but just enough amount of matches because we want to give these bigger matches that are on it. We want to give them plenty of time. And when you're doing a War Games match with that amount of superstars and stuff like that, and we'll talk
mm.
about the matches as we go through with so many layers to them and stuff like that. You need to give it time. Everyone has to get their bit in and make it meaningful. So yeah, I'm glad they do that. I mean, if you look at the 2 War Games matches alone, I mean, you could give them 40 minutes, 50 minutes each, no problem, and then
Easily.
the other matches in there. So I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't butcher a load of matches in. I'm glad they're just going with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 5 matches in total? I think.
Yeah, yeah.
More than enough when you have 2 War Games matches in there. So yeah.
Let's. Do you know what? You're getting me excited. So I think you should. Why don't you lead us into our fucking preview of Survivor Series War Games 2022? Because I'm actually excited to talk about this.
Yeah, well, we'll start with we get what I would regard as the filler out of the way, as people know on the podcast and stuff like that. So we're talking about Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi, singles match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So we'll get that going. We seen in the last pay per view how this sort of turns out when you put this match somewhere in the card, and the timing of this is going to be absolutely crucial. Um, I just don't know. It's the Ronda Rousey matches and stuff like that. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you're waiting for a Becky or a Sasha or a Charlotte to come back, and everything else is not really bona fide. It's kind of just filler. And I
Yeah,
like Shotzi. I'm a fan of Shotzi. I think she's really cool. I think it's a cool look. All the stuff
me
that she
too.
does is brilliant. It's
Too.
really, really good. But again, I'm sitting here going, Ronda Rousey ain't going to be dropping the belt to her, is she really, on a pay per view like this? So realistically, I find it fairly hard to buy into it. But yeah, that's it. My prediction, obviously, Rousey to retain. But I hope Shotzi gets plenty in, and hopefully a lot more than what Liv Morgan did last time out. And they put together a good match.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I'm agree. Like I like Shotzi. That's my kind of person. Rock, metal kind of look. Looks cool. I think she's a singer as well, isn't she? Or was a singer.
Probably,
And
yeah,
as far as I
absolutely.
know,
Yeah,
I could be wrong. Once again, people in the comments will let me know, but I'm pretty sure she was. I'm kind of with you as well, and I'm usually a Ronda fan. Like, I'm kind of over the Ronda's a badass in what she achieved pre WWE, and it's kind of now it's I think it's kind of run its course a little bit, but I do like heel Ronda, and I like the idea of maybe heel Ronda going in with like a face Becky, you know what I mean, at WrestleMania, which
yeah,
possibly they could run with, and because Becky's that kind of person that everyone just wants to love, right? You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
she's just so cool. It's like the Stone Cold Steve Austin
yeah,
thing. Um, so yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think Ronda has a place at the table without a shadow of a doubt, but I think she has a bigger seat at the table, if you will, as a heel in the
yeah,
run up where, even those little bitchy comments calling out wrestling fans for like we do, basement dwellers and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Really
yeah.
kind of getting into the into the heartstrings of people that absolutely love this business and pay their hard earned money to stay up and watch these pay-per-views. So yeah, no, I would agree. I think Ronda, by a landslide, but I would like to see, a little bit of the rub, as they say,
Yeah.
for Shotzi as well,
Hopefully a
just so that
solid
it's
match.
not.
Solid match,
Yeah,
hopefully.
exactly. Not
Yeah.
a whitewash, but
Mm.
we're kind of straight into the meat and bones of it now. We're
Yeah.
get the let's go with the women's war games match first.
Yeah.
Um, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Mitchin, and a mystery partner, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, versus Bailey, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. So this is um this is quite well. I say, it's yeah, like Rhea Ripley in there is a strange one, obviously, because she just doesn't fit that kind of narrative with the rest of the girls. But she's so over at the moment, I guess, with
Yeah.
the Judgment Day, that
Mm.
you kind of have to, put her in there somewhere other than. But she could be in with the men, no fire,
Yeah,
because
I think herself and Nikki Cross bring that kind of heelish feel to the team, don't they? The
yeah,
genuine
yeah,
heelish feel to the team and stuff like
yeah.
that, Um, that Damage Control, as much as I like them and stuff like that, I find they're how would you say, as heelish? They're just a bit polished, aren't they? Like they're just a bit
Mm.
they're a bit polished for it, I'd like to say. Apart from Bailey, I like Bailey because I think Bailey's cool. She can really pull off that kind of heel thing and stuff like that.
She's deadly as well.
Yeah,
She's
very good.
such a good wrestler. Yeah,
But the interesting thing is the two girls, and again when we talk about this layered kind of storyline stuff, that obviously you have Michin in there, which is formerly known as Mia Yim, and she's involved later as well. She'll be at ringside for the Styles Balor match, and so will Rhea Ripley. So
that's interesting.
it's an interesting one
Mm.
where you're building these layers even through a single card and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
That's a good
And
point.
and
Yeah.
obviously to be decided as well. So we could get potentially a big return here. Um,
Well, I mean, it's a given, right?
yeah, well, I would have thought so. I would have thought they're not just gonna wheel someone out off the roster. I would have thought that there's someone big coming back and
Who are
stuff
you
like that.
thinking? Who are you thinking? Get people excited. I have mine.
Well, it's only one of three, isn't it? It's either Becky, Charlotte, or Sasha. And my guess is
I
Sasha.
I was gonna say Sasha. Yeah,
Yeah. Now,
yeah.
having said that, it could be Naomi. There could be a
Well,
swerve
then
in
I'd be
there of
disappointed.
Naomi. You know what I mean? Because yeah, but I mean that's. But I know we've seen reports coming out and stuff like that Sasha's back in training and she's wrestling away and doing all that kind of stuff. So she's clearly there's a return pending there basically. And of course, when we look across the water, what we spoke about earlier, the grass is definitely not greener on the other side. So where they kind of maybe sailed off into the sunset originally thinking, well, we have options here in this market. Let's go explore the open market. Realistically, at Sasha's level and stuff like that, you really don't. There's only one place to be. And
No,
that's why
uh,
I think it'd be pretty cool if Sasha came back. Be awesome.
she's very smart on her social media and her
Yeah.
Instagram. She's just putting up modeling photos and stuff like that. But if you're smart enough to read between the lines and you look at those modeling photos, you'll know that the tone and the physique is getting a little bit
Yeah.
better as the photo goes on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well. Am I right
Not
in
you,
saying she's an?
creepy
Is she?
basement dwellers. Stop looking at her like that.
Yeah. Am I right in saying as well she's an East Coast girl?
Yep.
Yeah, she's an East Coast girl as well, so that would kind of make sense. But
Yep.
I noticed over the last week or so, Becky has been more prevalent on social media as well. So it could be that as well. Who knows? She's
Yeah.
there's a lot more posts and stuff going up and stuff like that. So
Well,
who knows?
we've got no problem with that. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
absolutely not. So
but I'm looking forward to that as well. I do. I think you're right about layers, and I think that's a really, really important
yeah,
and key word during this pay per view. Layers. I think that's what H is trying to do here,
yeah.
as we're in the run into the Royal Rumble, and then of course on the road to WrestleMania, he's trying to create layers here.
Yeah.
Um, I
You're
would
you're
agree as
looking you're
well.
looking here you're looking here really at the pre-booking of your winter schedule to the Rumble. That's what you're
Yeah,
looking at. That's what's going to fall out of
hundred
this
percent.
basically, and it's really cool in the way he's doing it because he's linking everything in. So it means that they're really thinking ahead and planning stuff ahead, which I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
really like instead of shit on the fly like. So that's pretty
hundred
cool.
percent.
Yeah,
100%, and like you kind of got me excited there when you think of Michin and Rhea Ripley.
yeah,
You know, they're both going to be at ringside and stuff later. It's yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Um, let's go with I'll let you go with the next match.
Well, we go the next match. I suppose we'll take. We leave. Do you want to leave the
Yeah,
bloodline? We'll do that last, basically. Yeah. Well, then
yeah,
your next
yeah.
one up, we go with the triple threat. Then Rollins versus Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley, triple threat for the United States Championship. I have to say, this whole evolution of Rollins is really really cool. And the
We
problem
did, we
is,
did. You called it as well. To
yeah,
be fair, like that's what you were looking for.
yeah, and the thing about it is it's cool to the point because the card and the roster is so stacked at the moment at the top end. Everyone's on their A game at the moment. in another guise in WWE, this man wouldn't be anywhere near US title level. He'd be way above that with what he's putting out there at the moment and the way he's performing and stuff like that. I see Rollins just retaining here basically. I kind of not too sure what way the whole Austin Theory thing is going and what he's doing, but I'm sure H has a plan. And Bobby's in there, I presume. And no disrespect to Bobby Lashley, they have to find a place for him on the card, don't they? And I think that's
Yeah.
why he's in that triple threat. He's been around the US belt a bit and stuff like that. He's a safe bet to put in matches and stuff like that. Bobby's a star, but it just at times it disappoints me. He's not a star where he should be. I mean, Bobby Lashley's one of those guys that should reach superstardom, really, and he often gets to a very, very high level, but just doesn't take that step into the stratosphere of where Bobby Lashley should be. And that's why he kind of finds himself on cards like this where he's at that level of US belt and stuff like that. But should be a solid match. Theory will bring the shithousery, and it'll be interesting to see how that stacks up with Rollins' shithousery as well. Lashley will just be the solid destroyer as always, but I expect Rollins to walk out with the belt.
Yeah, I would concur with all that. I can't
Excuse
really.
me, I've got a terrible head cold at the moment.
That's okay.
It's gotten
That's
cold
okay.
here in Ireland over the last week or so.
Well, I had food poisoning last week, so there you go.
It's all right. It's a good way of getting shredded.
Yeah. So I suppose we'll start with the women's match. Or sorry, not the women's match. The AJ match, AJ and Balor. This kind of really shows you where H, has put his money behind these boys and how much he values them. Obviously, AJ with the OC, Gallows, and Anderson, which is great to see them back. By the way, it's absolutely fantastic. With Menchin, as you mentioned, and Balor and the Judgment Day, this is like, I mean, they just look like they're having fun, don't they? I mean, anytime Balor and AJ are in a ring together, it's magic. It's pro wrestling. You know what I mean?
This is where I get people to sit up when I put my one liner out here. Balor versus AJ in a match is your modern day Ric Flair versus Harley Race.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
That's what I talk about. That I mean, these two guys are just incredible performers, and I just hope, and you've said it before as well, that the quality of the match that they can deliver doesn't get overshadowed by what's hanging around on the outside. That would be my only concern. And you mentioned it before when we spoke about Extreme Rules. So sometimes the quality of a match can get destroyed by what has to get involved. And these two boys can go out on any given night, a main event, any pay-per-view, and deliver a 5-star match again and again and again. They've got great history. They've got great legacy. They've both had stellar careers in the business anywhere they've been, from the coal factories of Bray all the way to Japan, all the way to WWE. And AJ Styles, very similar, wrestled plenty of school halls and community centers before he reached the dizzy heights he has. These guys have legacy written all over.
We all still have those high spot DVDs, right?
Absolutely. Here we all still have those videos on our camera from being in freezing cold warehouses watching these guys wrestle. Near alone high spots DVDs. But this will be electric. And again, as we said, there's layers here and stuff like that, because you're getting that Bullet Club element without having to mention the whole Bullet Club thing. So you're getting that delivered again. And you have two guys here wrestling. You've got two guys on the outside that are heavily involved. You've got Dominic, who's doing a stellar job since he turned. You've got Damian Priest, who I think has one of the best looks in wrestling at the moment, especially for a heel. And then, we can't say much more about Mitchin and Rhea Ripley, already mentioned in the match above. That will just move on, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of outside stuff. But I want to see that AJ Styles, Finn Balor. Give it 15, 20 minutes before anyone starts jumping around. Let them do their thing and give us that match. And I think they will. This is one I found hard to separate. I wasn't sure which way this one is going to go. And I think it could continue on for a while. I wouldn't be upset if this whole storyline went all the way to Mania. It wouldn't bother me one bit. I like it.
I honestly think, because like at the end of the day, we haven't had a Balor AJ, and I'm not just saying both of them together, but AJ hasn't had a meaningful match in Mania in quite a while. Balor hasn't had a match properly. You know what I mean? And he has, but like nothing meaningful. Whereas I think if this
Yeah.
is a culmination, so to speak,
Yeah.
and you've got one on one.
Mm.
And I wanted to just rewind a little bit there on something you said, because I really do agree with the point that you made. And it was something I had said before. With WWE, sometimes there's too much things going on the outside, like the last one with Edge and stuff like that. I mean, we would have loved to see Balor and Edge just proper one on one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you get this whole, they're trying to recreate WrestleMania 13. And
Yeah.
that's not the kind of guy Balor is anyway. Edge can do that. Balor's not. Like, in fairness, he's just straight up catch as catch can. Let's do it in the ring. You know what I mean? And I think if it culminates to like just a straight wrestle match between Balor and AJ at Mania, absolutely. But I think what I'd like to see from this match, like you mentioned, like 40 or 50 minutes wouldn't bore me with this match.
No.
Like if it's done in the old school War Games way, because we used to get that, where eventually you always had the fucking heels and the baby faces that were beating the shit,
Yeah.
beating the snot out of each other, as we say in Ireland.
Yeah.
And then you'd eventually have Flair and Sting face to face as the others
Yeah.
started to wind down.
This
I
would have
think
been
that I
cool,
think
like an old Jim Crockett cage match, where the
absolutely.
people on the outside are trying to get in and unlock the door and all this kind of thing, and they can do that thing, but you still get that focus on the match in the cage. And remember, they had two cages there, so they could have easily slipped it and just dropped one and had a cage match
Yeah,
or something like that for this one or
yeah.
stuff. But maybe it might have been a bit overkill, and it might have took again. It's probably going to happen before the War Games matches, so maybe it might have been a little bit overkill, maybe, and it might have taken the shine away maybe from the two War Games matches. Because I expect this. If this is anything less than 5 6 stars, I'd be disappointed. And again,
Here's a question for you. Here's a
yeah,
question for you as you're watching the matches a lot, like, and you watch a lot of Raw and stuff like that. And I'll be honest, I watch as much as I can.
mm,
Are you starting to find that there's less agent influence in some of the matches, or are they still contrived by fucking outside sources?
I think it depends. I think
You think
Triple.
there's certain people that will be given a bit more leeway?
Yeah, well, I think there's certain people, like if you look at the likes of AJ Styles, you look at Balor, um, who else is in there? There's Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, guys like that. These are seasoned professionals. You know what I mean? I don't think you have to give them a whole lot. All you have to do is turn around and implant an idea of this is the message we want to get across tonight. Go out and do your thing, and I'd say that's what H does. I
Yeah,
don't think it has to
yeah,
be line by line anymore and the same in the match and stuff like that. I think if you look at the matches at the moment, the matches have become quite loose insofar as you're probably getting a little bit more calling in the ring and stuff like that, back to that old school way of doing it. And I think it looks nice that way because it doesn't even matter. Even if they mess up at some point in the match, it doesn't take away from the match because it's nice and loose and flow and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot more of that coming in. And look, if you look at Triple H, think about his own career and stuff like that. The last thing Triple H wants to be doing is having 4 or 5 guys backstage going line for line about this is what we want done. Tell them what the start is. Tell them what the message is you want to portray, and let them go out and do their thing. They're paid professionals, and I think you're getting more and more of that. And that's why I think there's a looseness in it. That's why I think the wrestlers that are in there right now are much more happier. That's why I think wrestlers who aren't there are looking to get back in there and are more open to going back to WWE and stuff like
I
that.
think so.
And I think that's part of it. Part of it is that creative control. That yeah, Gaffer, you want me to portray this tonight, but let me go out and show you. I'll do my thing and I'll get your message across. And I think a lot of that is starting to come true. And that's why the likes of me and you, wrestling has become enjoyable again and stuff like that. We're enjoying it,
Yeah,
Look at us,
especially with
we're excited
WWE.
about a Survivor Series War Games coming this Saturday. Normally we'd be going Survivor Series. Here's another troll. One of the great fours that we used to have is now gone to crap, and here we are excited. Look, War Games, Survivor Series, H, creativity, matches that are put together really, really well. Lovely build up, layers within each match that lets you follow on through into December and to the road to the Royal Rumble and stuff. What more would you want as a wrestling fan?
Well, it's like any great coach, isn't it? Whether it be in football, whether it be in American football for our American listeners, or hockey, or whatever
Yeah,
sport it is, you drill your team to play a certain way,
yeah,
and this is the message. This is what we want at the end game. But you don't tell your star players or the guys that are coming up
Yeah,
exactly what to do, because they freeze a little bit. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
It's
Because
like
they kind of
it's
go,
like
shit, do I
it's like
remember
it's
my
yeah,
lines?
it's like a top manager. A top manager is not going to tell you how to take a penalty. He's going to walk over and pat you on the back and tell you how important it is to put it in the back of the net.
Exactly.
And that's and that's
Exactly.
and that's what I think H is. H is going to tell you how important it is
As a
that you
coach.
that you get your character over and you present this message. This is what we need. And once you
Yeah.
get that home and get that done, I don't need to be telling you what your move set is or what you need to be doing in the ring or where the cameras are or any of that amateur kind of stuff. This is what I'm going to tell you to do. This is the message we want tonight. Go out there and do it. And
The
I'm sure
exact
there's
same thing.
yeah,
Exact
yeah,
same thing as some of the classic matches we've always seen. You know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Minute 13, you don't need to be going, oh shit, what did the boss tell me? You know
Don't
what I
need it.
mean?
Don't need it. Because
No.
nothing ever goes the way it should. And you have to
No,
be
of
prepared to be
course.
ready on your feet. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I just think they're
Absolutely.
getting better and better at it. Actually, you can see there's a relief in them when they go out there now. They're not having to overthink. They're not talking like they're someone else. They're talking like they're that character. When you listen to Rhea Ripley or you listen to Balor or you listen to
Yeah.
AJ, listen to these guys. These are
Yeah.
these people talking. And it sounds more like these people talking. It's not contrived. You're not giving Finn Balor Roman Reigns lines. You're not giving AJ Styles Seth Rollins lines. You know what I mean? You're thinking about how would he portray it, and they're probably going to these guys and go, "This is the message we want you to give. How would you say that? How would you put that across?" So it's great. And look, everyone seems really happy in there at the moment. You know what I mean? Even if you're not potentially on the pay per view or not in a title picture or not some, you still feel that you've something to give and you're part of a show, and that's really cool. That's all you can want.
I love it. Well, look, that brings us to the last match. So take it away.
This is a cracker. This is like there's so many layers on this onion to peel off, and this is a war game. It's going to be all out. This is going to be the Usos is going to be incredible in this. Sheamus and the boys are doing an outstanding job. I don't know if you even seen. Have you seen the interaction between Sheamus and Balor recently and stuff like that? It is different
No.
level. It's top gravy. This is Sheamus said they had an interaction. I think the other night, and Seamus said, "Listen, fella, don't forget, I only grew up 10 miles from where you grew up, and all this. It was brilliant. It was brilliant, and it was top notch, and it's really good. Seamus is at the peak of his powers right now. He's so good, and I love your man Holland and
He's
Butch as
really
well.
stepped it up. Oh, since COVID, I think Sheamus has stepped it
Yeah,
up. Boom,
but
a big
he's
time.
bringing the two boys with him as well. Like he's bringing everyone with him. It's like a wave and stuff like that. You know, it's he's not a lone ranger anymore and stuff like that. And
No,
it's really cool to see it. And at times, like, and then we talk about layers and an onion here. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, the story writes itself. And how good is Sami Zayn at the moment? I don't know if you seen it the other night. The
I
Usos are just
did.
falling around laughing during these promos. Your man standing behind him the other night when he was doing the promo when he stepped in and stuff like that, and your man is cracking up the Uso at the background, and he has to look away from the camera. He's laughing so much. It's so good. And I'd say they have like a little bet going on in the background. Can I get you tonight? Can I get you tonight? And stuff like that. It's so cool.
It reminds you
But
of those old own heart stories, don't they? Like
yeah, yeah,
it was like, can I make you crack up in the ring?
yeah,
Like, and
yeah.
it
No,
is
it's
because
brilliant. It's
like
brilliant.
even my missus now, she's like,
Yeah,
I love watching those promos because I
yeah.
love looking at
They're
Roman
just so
Reigns
funny.
almost like shit.
Yeah,
Because Roman Reigns is like
yeah,
he constantly has the hand over the
yeah.
face, and
Yeah,
he's
I
like
think
trying to.
we will eventually get an episode where the three of them just crack up and they can't hold it together. It's coming. It's definitely coming, and it's gonna feel so weird. But I like as well the whole Drew in there as well, and Solo. There's a bit of history there, especially you started a clash at the castle that I was at, so that's pretty cool as well. You have that there, and then of course you have Roman as well versus Sheamus, two absolute brutes and stuff like that. And I don't know if you've seen the interaction between Kevin Owens and Roman as well. It's really cool. Roman went in to hit him with
Yeah,
the big spear and he booted him with the low blows of that. Kevin
yeah,
Owens is absolute quality. And that's what I'm talking about these guys. These guys are all seasoned now. They just need someone to go, listen, this is the message, go out and do it. But this one's going to be electric. Some of the stuff these guys are going to do is going to be unbelievable. The Usos with Rich Holland and Butch and stuff, the stuff that they're going to do in two cages is going to be insane.
yeah,
Insane. And
yeah.
yeah, it's going to be excellent. I do think, though, I'd be surprised if the bloodline don't win this.
Ah,
Uh,
It's
But
a given, right?
but if they don't, then you have an opportunity on the road to the Royal Rumble to lay down some really cool storylines. You could have do we get one more run with Sheamus challenging for the belt again? That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
It would. It would actually.
Because
I mean,
he put the
he's a
work
big
in,
enough.
didn't he, with Gunther? He put the work in with Gunther, so he's earned it. In fairness,
I think so.
Um,
I think so.
but yeah, no, this would be really
I
cool.
think so.
Yeah,
It's actually, yeah. Look, it's very intriguing now. You're
yeah,
kind of you're whetting my appetite now. I'm
yeah,
listening to this, and the fans are listening to this show and going, hmm, yeah.
yeah,
What do we think? But I'm actually thinking. I'm almost my head's in Saturday night going, right. What way do I look at this? Yeah, I mean, I think without doubt you want to get your main champion over as much as possible,
yeah,
but at the same time, you're kind of building, bridges and creating layers as this has kind of been the theme of the show, so to
yeah,
speak, isn't it?
yeah,
Layers, like you're trying to get Sheamus over, you're trying to create viable competition for Reigns going forward, and the same way you're doing with the Judgment Day, the
yeah,
last,
yeah,
so I don't know. I think I'm really looking forward to this. I think people like Sami Zayn and Owens, like they're happy with their place now. Do you know what I mean? They know what they've got. I mean, I still think Kevin Owens is world championship level. Same way I think AJ is. I think Balor is. I think lots of people are. But at the moment, regardless of what team you're on, like eh, Roman Reigns is the Man City of the Premier League at the minute, and they're always going to be the Mecca. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And everyone
yeah.
else is just waiting to
Yeah,
see if they can.
just because you're fifth in the Premier League doesn't make you a bad team. It
No,
just means you're not as good as Roman Reigns at the moment. That's
or
all.
if you're eighth or ninth or tenth,
Or whatever
like
it is,
us,
yeah, whatever way it shuffles down. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
just shouting that out there,
Been
just putting
there,
that out there.
been there, wrote the book. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah,
But yeah, look, that's our Survivor Series kind of
yeah.
preview done, so to speak. I think,
Let us know your predictions. Let us know
yeah,
your predictions in the comments.
do
Yeah,
let us know, absolutely, and again, follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well, and let us know, especially on Twitter. That's where I'm most active, and I run the shit. So
And the weather,
let us know.
the weather's gotten cold. You might be on the receiving end of a nice Dynamo's dozen mug for that hot chocolate tea or coffee coming into the winter time. Let us
Ooh,
know your predictions in the comments.
and it is
Okay,
cold, isn't it?
it is cold. It's proper
Yeah,
cold.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
there you go. Look, the shopkeeper is offering a possible mug there. If I was you, I'd get on it. So yeah, let's get to the. I mean, it's all been fun today. Actually, that's the good thing about it.
Yeah,
Let's get on
absolutely.
to more fun. This week in wrestling history, I don't even and legit guys, I don't know what Niall's going to give me today. So
I don't show you these on purpose because
yeah,
these have a real nice flavor in terms of the pay per view that's coming up, but they also have a real nice flavor in you. This will bring you back to some of your childhood and stuff like that as well. So that's why I purposely don't send you these. So I like to see your
okay,
actual reaction when we're doing the show.
okay.
So first of all, we're going back this week. We're going back to 1988, and this would be a pivotal week in 1988 in your wrestling fandom
I
because
like this year anyway that you're talking about.
you
Go
would
ahead.
well know this was the birth of WCW this week. Ted Turner bought Jim Crocker Promotions and renamed it as World Championship Wrestling this week in 1988. So
Crockett
there's one
Promotions.
straight out of
Yeah,
there's one straight out of the baseball ground, straight away a home run.
you've
Um,
got me.
2005. This is one which will generate conversation, I'm sure. Following the death of Eddie Guerrero, it was this week in 2005 where WWE began launching the comprehensive drug testing wellness policy, if you remember, that they brought in on the back of poor Eddie Guerrero's death. And this is where
Rest
we
in peace,
started
by the
getting,
way.
absolutely, this is where we started seeing a lot of wrestlers failing drug tests and all this kind of stuff and suspensions and all this sort of stuff. I wouldn't say necessarily at the top end of the card, but certainly in the middle of the card, without a doubt. But yeah, it was an interesting one that they did. I don't know if it's still, I'm sure they have a wellness policy, but I don't think it's kind of as stringent as it is. It's probably more a lifestyle kind of thing or something like that, maybe that they
Well, I
do
think
now.
what we're looking at now is, I suppose, is like we're looking at like there's certain lads that are still in amazing shape,
Yeah.
And look, regardless of whether you're taking juice or whatever you're doing, you're on the gas. It's
Right.
you know you're still having to put the work in.
Mm.
Listen, I hold my hands up firsthand, like experience. I remember being a young kid
Mm.
thinking that you take the juice and all of a sudden it was a miracle drug. It's absolutely not. You know
Mm.
what I mean? But nowadays you don't know what kind of as medical science and
Yeah.
procedures
Mm.
work their magic and whatever magic action that they can put in
Yeah. I
to
think
a
sir.
foil.
Yeah, I think certainly
Um,
now when you look at the wrestlers don't look as drained. I think they look
no, no,
healthier and stuff like that.
even the big guys
Yeah.
like Sheamus and Roman. I mean,
Mm.
look, growth hormone is still a big thing, and I'm certainly not accusing anyone of taking anything,
Mm.
but I'm sure there's probably still little things that people can take that probably help them along their way,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
But not, it's not like that drug
Detrimental.
fueled.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
And
not. It's not
certainly
that drug fueled.
the control they have over pain pills and all that kind of stuff now is more prevalent. So
Well, they're not going
that's
to
a
have
really
like a
good thing.
Chris Benoit situation where you find a 5 months, 3 months supply of Diana Ball and stuff like that in their in their wardrobe, which is pretty much what was found, I believe,
Mm.
with Benoit. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. You're not getting that anymore, and that's
Yeah.
that's essentially what happened with poor Eddie. Because I mean, we all like. I know I did personally. Anyway, I was an Eddie Guerrero fan, very young,
Yeah.
watching WCW
Mm.
Nitro, and he was kind of one of those. I was like, shit, I like that guy. But we saw how small he was compared to how big he got.
Yeah.
And he wasn't small to begin with. He's
Yeah.
probably my size,
Mm.
you know what I mean, with bigger arms. But then he did become ginormous, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's how enlarged hearts, and unfortunately things like that happen. It's heartbreaking. But
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm.
you know, it's good to see the way it's kind of gone.
Yeah, yeah, and I think certainly when we go back over the last few years and we look at the deaths in the business, they're kind
Mm,
of a little bit more natural kind of situations and stuff
yeah,
like that. Or,
yeah, 100%.
obviously mental health is a huge thing and stuff like that, and all that other stuff that went on. But I think in general, you're not saying the next guy found dead in a hotel room or the next girl found dead in a hotel room. It's a little bit more sort of stabilized.
And you're not seeing someone just like someone that you've watched from say the age of
Yeah,
22 or 23 just grow into this humongous fucker, because straight away what's going
mm,
on there. We're not
yeah,
stupid, you know
mm,
what I mean?
yeah,
So you're kind of seeing they're all staying around the same size. I mean, you're looking at the young guys now coming up
mm,
in NXT, and
mm,
then they make it to the big, to
yeah,
the big show. No
yeah.
pun intended. They were big to begin with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that there's not
Yeah, but
much fair
you
play
can
going
see
on.
a lot of the bodies as well. They're changing in a way that's more geared towards the business they're in. If you look at their training routines, their
Longevity,
YouTube
yeah.
channels and stuff like that, they're training now as an add-on to the business that they work in, as opposed to just going into a gym and pumping weights. They're
Well, they
actually
look
training in a
athletic.
way.
They look
Yeah,
athletic. I mean, like,
yeah,
Roman Reigns is a perfect example. He's considered the big guy.
mm,
But if you put Roman Reigns beside The Rock, like
yeah, yeah,
fucking he's he's not small beside him, but
no,
you can see the difference.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're
And that's
rocking
not
they're
that's not a
rocking a
call out
kind
on
of
The Rock.
slightly they're rocking a kind of slightly softness to their physique that helps the business that they're in and helps them
Exactly.
take
Exactly.
what they need to
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
punishment and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's pretty
100%.
cool. Yeah, so then 2013, AWA legend Mad Dog Vachon passed away at the age of 84 from natural causes. Isn't that mad? If you ever thought of a wrestler and you think of natural causes, he would pass away. Mad Dog Vachon is a mad one, isn't it? Really, when you think about
I
it.
wouldn't have thought. I
Yeah,
would have thought like died on dog food or something.
yeah, something
Just something
crazy, wouldn't
mad.
it? Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. 1990, the fourth annual WWF Survivor Series took place on Thanksgiving night in Hartford, in Connecticut. The pay per view is fondly remembered for the on screen debut of the Dead Man, the Undertaker.
It was a great
Uh,
show as well, by the way.
yeah, absolutely. So that
I
was
have it on VHS.
absolutely, yeah. So that was that one. Um, then we propel ourselves 30 years forward to 2020 from 1990. Exactly 30 years to the day from his debut. The Undertaker said his final farewell at WWE Survivor Series from the Thunderdome in Orlando, Florida. Um, which was an interesting one because he should have I suppose his send off should have been something more, really, when you think about it. That Thunderdome in Orlando, Florida, was going to look, it's kind of a weird one for a guy of his career and all to say his farewells, but it was interesting. But exactly 30 years to the day. 1994, the eighth annual WWF Survivor Series, which came from San Antonio in Texas, was headlined by two main event matches. This is one you wouldn't have been happy with. Bret Hart lost his WWF Championship to Bob Backlund
Bob Backlund, I
in,
quit match.
in the submission match after Owen Hart convinced his mother Helen to throw in the towel to end the match. I had to put that one in there. I told you I had a flavour here for you tonight. I
I
went
like
through a
it.
lot of work today for this for you. I knew you'd like it and stuff like that.
I like it.
1994, Art Barr was found dead in his Oregon home at the age of just 28.
It was very sad, yeah,
What an
and
age
it's
to
funny
pass
that
away.
it's funny that you mentioned 1998. So it means he was he was 20 in 1990.
Yeah,
Um, he obviously had a big, connection with Eddie Guerrero.
yeah.
Um, they had an amazing tag team, especially over in AAA
Mm,
back in the late 80s and early
yeah,
90s.
yeah.
Which is kind of what put Eddie Guerrero onto the map. And Art Barr was someone that he's kind of like a forgotten hero, so to speak, as are many of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As are many.
It's amazing as well when
Um,
you look at it as well. Oregon, what a hub Oregon is for producing both wrestlers, athletes, and
yeah,
sports people in general.
hundred
Unbelievable,
percent, hundred
massive.
percent. Portland, especially. You know what I mean?
Billy
You look at the
Jack
Portland
Haynes springs
Timbers.
to mind.
Yeah, man. Like
You know,
Portland Timbers, great basketball team.
Chael Sonnen, I
Um,
think, is from that part of the world as well. Chael Sonnen.
Correct.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Chael.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's Art Bar was one. I just because I don't know when we'll talk about Art Bar again.
yeah,
So I just thought it'd be nice to kind of say something nice about him because he was a hell of a worker. Go
yeah,
back and watch him. I mean, don't forget he was the one that done the frog splash, and
mm,
Eddie done it in tribute to
yeah.
Art Bar, which may be a little known fact. I don't know if it's well known, but
Mm.
that is a true story. Don't ask me how I remember these things, kids, and you can come and fight me on the comments on that one because it's true.
Yeah. No, it's very cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, big influence on the business for such a
Yeah,
short period of time. Had such an influence. Um,
28, way too young. I'm 38 now. Think about that.
yeah, 2007. Linda Hogan announced that she had filed for divorce from her husband Hulk Hogan.
You're
Um,
gonna get me mad now. Come on, why did you have to bring Hulk into it? Come on.
all the drama around that Hogan knows best and all was crazy, wasn't it? And then he started dating a girl that basically was the twin of Brooke, and she started dating a guy.
Don't be insinuating things now, Noel. Come on,
And it was just a
come on.
crazy time. It was a crazy time,
Listen,
and
all I'll say with the Hulkster is he's the greatest. Um, his daughter does look a lot like his missus. That's kind of weird,
I don't think
but
it's the same
he's
one. I don't
happy.
think it's the current one. I think it was that one at that time.
Oh no, it's the same one. Yeah, I think they fucking locked it up, didn't they?
Am I right in thinking at the time that he originally started dating one of her friends? Was that the
No,
story that was out
that
there
was
at the time?
Linda.
Oh, that was
No,
Linda
that was
started dating one of her
Linda.
friends, was it?
No, Linda dated one of her friends, and
Yeah.
he literally looked like a young Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay.
And then, because you remember that episode where
That's what I
Hogan
was
was on
thinking.
the beach and he's not allowed going near the gaff, and he goes, "That motherfucker is sitting there lifting my weights in my
Yeah.
gym,"
Yeah.
and it was just like,
Driving his
"Oh."
car. Remember, she kept the car as well. Remember the car? The big red one it
Oh.
was, wasn't it? Whatever one it was. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I will just say this. I will say this, and I'll say no more. I hope Linda Hogan is having the worst life ever. That's all I'll say.
The
What a
badness
horrible
oozing
person.
out of you. The badness oozing out of you.
What a horrible cunt.
That's
There
terrible.
you go.
There you go. Get it all out. Don't hold back. Um,
What's the point? No holes barred, baby.
that's it.
Since we're speaking about Hogan.
Yeah, 1995 this week, World War Three happened. Not the World War Three, the wrestling World War Three. From the Norfolk Scope in Norfolk, Virginia. What a location as well. Absolutely brilliant. But the Macho
Norfolk
Man,
always a great shows, didn't he?
I love when they talk about those old Colosseums and stuff like the Nassau Colosseum and stuff
Because
like
they
that.
were the places,
Steeped
yeah,
in
man.
history, yeah, absolutely. So I
Yeah.
love looking back on them. But it was the Macho Man Randy Savage last eliminated, the one man gang, our favorite on this show. Akeem himself, the one man gang. I had the pleasure of meeting the man back at WrestleMania in March or April, whenever it was, and he won the
Oh, you met
16.
you met the one man gang.
Oh, signed the figure. The signed figure is behind me and everything. Him, Slick,
Nice.
Demolition, Powers of Pain. Met all those guys at Mania this year.
Nice. He was a gentleman. I talked to him once, only
Yeah,
obviously
an absolute
everyone
gent.
knows the his. Yeah, yeah, and he was actually the most honest man I've ever met. He goes, look, I don't like doing podcasts, and to be fair, he doesn't really do them.
Mm, yeah,
I think Hannibal may have got him through
yeah.
paid
His
interviews,
son's a gentleman as well. Son's a gentleman
but
as well.
man, he was a gentleman. He just said, look, Ian, no offense, I don't really do interviews and stuff like that. And I was like, well, you know, I'm a big fan of the Louisiana culture and stuff like
Mm,
that. You know, me being a Pantera boy, you know,
yeah,
and I was kind of like, because Phil Anselmo, believe it or not, here's a funny story, that said to me that his favorite wrestler at one point growing up was One Man Gang. And that's why he had the mohawk, you know what I mean, when
mm,
he went into the
yeah,
Pantera days. But then obviously, as we know, Phil just loved Ric Flair and stuff like that. You know,
yeah,
you eventually get it, but he was like the one man gang. He goes, he looked like a badass.
yeah.
And he told a story on my podcast, actually, I think, um, on this show, where he looked at the one man gang like kick a guy in the face, and it looked like he'd actually kicked his teeth out.
Yeah.
You know, and he was only 12. And I was like, well, the chances are, Phil, he probably did.
Yeah,
He probably did.
I'd say Phil would have been more into the one man gag. I don't think Akeem would have sat well with him really. I don't think Phil would have
No,
been the
the
Akeem
African
guy.
King probably wouldn't have got over so well, but yeah, no. Shout out to One Man Gang, man. What I'm delighted that you got to meet him.
Yeah.
That's a cool,
Yeah,
cool person
I
to
have a
meet.
kind of a weird selection when I go to these WrestleCons. I pick out guys from my childhood that I can go and see that made a difference and was
Exactly.
cool. So I
Yeah,
met them,
and
Demolition and Powers of
that's a
Pain.
good tip to the viewers that are listening. By the way,
Yeah,
Noel, what
yeah.
there's a segue. That'd be what would you recommend to people that are going to these shows? Would you recommend like if you've met that one person already and you've got that signed, you know, picture of both of yous there, like you're looking for the Bret Harts and the Shawn Michaels,
Mm.
why not go and see the guys you've not met that were a big part of your childhood?
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, when I grew up in wrestling and I was a kid watching all this and I was starstruck and became a fan and stuff like that, all these guys were superstars. There wasn't just
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan. I loved the Honky
same for
Tonk
me.
Man,
Same for me.
Warrior,
Yeah,
Coco
yeah.
Beware, all these guys. What I do is when I go to them, because I've met a lot of them at this stage from the trips we've gone on and stuff, what I do is I always pick out a couple that I want to go and see that I haven't met maybe. But the ones that I have met, I'll always drop by their booth and say hello, shake their hand and exchange a bit of a conversation, stuff like that. So I also got to speak to Chris Masters, shout out to the masterpiece, Chris Masters. Cool guy, got to chat to him
But there's a cool
for his
picture of me in the Master Lock backstage at some
yeah.
show, and or I think you've seen it
You
back in
know,
the
when I
day.
talked
He's
to
a
him at
gent.
WrestleCon, he remembers it all. Remembers being in the shop. Remembers taking loads of my Affliction T-shirts. He cleaned me out that day. But he's a cool guy, Chris Masters and stuff like that.
Gentleman though.
But I'd also go and talk to like Kevin Sullivan and guys like that, guys who I've already got stuff signed for and stuff like that. So I always make a point of dropping by and saying hello.
I like you dropping the little Kevin Sullivan name in there, just to make me a little bit jealous. You know, it's
Do you
all
know
right.
why I dropped it? He was sitting across from Slick and Akeem and the boys, so that's how I remembered it on the day.
And now you drop Slick and Akeem in there. I'm like, what the fuck? Come on,
Yeah,
all right,
that's
move
it.
along.
Yeah, moving on. Where are we? 1991 WWE or WWF Survivor Series took place from. We were just talking about these arenas, the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. What another arena! The
Yeah.
event saw the first ever non-elimination match in Survivor Series history, believe it or not. That match saw WWF champion Hulk Hogan lose the title to The Undertaker after interference from the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And that win at the time for Undertaker in history would make Undertaker at the time the youngest ever WWF champion.
Do you want to know how I first found out about that?
Go on.
That was 1990, right?
1991.
1991, yeah.
Yeah.
I found out about that in a WWF annual.
Nice.
because obviously, there was always delays.
Yeah.
My nanny, God rest her soul, had got me a WWF annual somewhere in a local shop in Bray. Don't know where it was. And I came back and I was like, what? I was just like over the
Blown
moon
away.
that I had this book.
Yeah.
And I was like, Hulk Hogan didn't lose to him. No. And I was so terrified of The Undertaker. Think about it. I'm 9 years old, not even 9 years old. Like, what, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 9. Yeah, like maybe 7, 8. And I was terrified of the Undertaker. And I was like, "This motherfucker's at the beating Hulk Hogan." And it was only a few months after that I managed to get my hands on the VHS. I was lucky that my dad had a friend who had access to Sky Sports and stuff like that, and was able to record stuff on VHS.
Yeah.
That's how we used to have to do, Noel, as you know.
The original tape trading.
Original tape
Sell it,
trading.
sell a tape and all on it. Sell a tape and all on the VHS.
Absolutely, man. Break the little seal.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
can't be recorded over.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was cool.
Yeah, this one we land on. This is another passing, another death in the business, but this one is an important one because this is a man who shaped so many careers in this business in terms of training and introducing them to the business. We go back to 1999. At the age of 62, this man passed away from colon cancer. The one and the only and the great Hiro Matsuda.
Ah,
So I thought we'd finish out with a little bit of wrestling royalty there, as they say.
yeah.
Absolutely
I mean,
fantastic.
man, when you think of the Japanese, like back in the day, the Japanese are still great. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
But a lot of it's become very theatrical, and it's all about the Meltzer ratings, which is kind of unfortunately the American influence on Japanese
Mm.
wrestling. But Japanese wrestling, without the major influence of American wrestling now,
Mm.
and the kind of independent scene,
Yeah.
my God, I mean,
Even the amount of US
Japanese.
wrestlers he influenced and trained and stuff like that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. So I
My
thought
God,
it's
Hiro Matsuda, what a
yeah,
what a human being, what a guy.
yeah,
Book,
absolutely
yeah,
unreal. Want to do a few notable birthdays?
yeah. Let's
Thinking about
finish the
doing a
show with
few.
a few notable birthdays.
Start off with one from the Wild Samoans, 1942. The great Afa, remember Afa and Sika? Afa,
Of course, I do.
1942. His birthday was this week. When we think of ECW, Shane Douglas, the franchise, 1964. Then, of course, 83. These are both 1983, of course, because they're Brie and Nikki Bella. They celebrate their birthdays this week as well.
They're a year older than me. Jesus Christ, I didn't know that.
1983, there you go. 1983. And then
They're looking
1974.
well,
Yeah, absolutely. Life has treated them very good.
unlike John
1974.
Cena.
Yeah, 1974. 2 years younger than me, and man, I'm sure you're a big fan of, especially from your cruiserweight stuff and all. Juventud Guerrera. It's his
Ah,
birthday this week
absolutely.
as well.
The juice. Yeah.
The man with one of the greatest mustaches on the planet, 1965, Don Fry, celebrates
Ah,
his birthday this week as
by the
well.
way, real man,
Yeah.
real man.
And then we go back to 1928, Gene Kanitsky
Ah,
celebrates his birthday
Jesus, the
this
great
week.
Gene. Yeah.
And then the man who always thought he should have been the second coming of The Rock, a man who I was a fan of, I have to say, 1976, 4 years younger than me, Maven. It's his birthday this week as well. Shout out to Maven.
You had to do that to me, didn't
Yeah.
you? The great, like, wow, the great unibrow.
He great
That's all I
charisma
can.
as well, though, didn't he? He brilliant charisma at times and all and stuff. I say I was born. I think they dropped the ball with that guy. I have to say, I'm going to put that out there in the podcast. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think they dropped the ball with Maven. Most people I talk to
Please let
about
Noel
Maven,
know in the comments.
a
Yeah.
lot of people, and he sells a lot of t-shirts still to this day. There's a lot of fan base out there for him.
Is there?
Yeah, believe it or not, yeah, absolutely. I'll get you a Maven t-shirt for Christmas.
Cheers, bro. I appreciate it.
1966, Brian Lee.
Yeah.
And we rounded out with 1961, the right to censor, Ivory herself. What a
Ah,
wrestler she was. Absolutely royalty
she
when
was
it
she
comes to
was a great
women's
wrestler. I
wrestling.
know you're a big fan of her, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I'm a
was.
huge
She
fan
was.
of Ivory. She was brilliant.
She was a great wrestler. For
Yeah.
very, very in tune with her gimmick, knew
Yeah,
exactly. I would actually say a lot of young ladies that are, that would aspire to be pro wrestlers, looking at the
yeah,
lady side of things
yeah,
that they're influenced by.
mm,
I would say Ivory is one of those kind of
yeah.
real. I would study Ivory tapes actually.
Yeah, I think
Really
I
good.
think at a time in wrestling when women's wrestling was very sexualized and stuff like that, I think she
Yeah.
brought that element like Molly Holly kind of that
Her and
kind
Molly
of
Holly. I was
that
just gonna say.
realism
Yeah.
of wrestling to women's
Yeah.
wrestling and
Yeah.
stuff like that. She was a very technical worker as well and really really good.
Very good in the ring.
But
Very good in the ring.
she kept that kind of like she presented herself very well and stuff like that. So she kept that element too, but always made sure that wrestling was at the core of what she did. And I used to
Yeah.
love her in Right to Center. I thought she was just so cool, and it
She
kind of
was
fit
deadly,
the
man.
gimmick
Like
because
when
she
you
was
hear
so
the beep.
straight laced. Yeah,
Beep, beep.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Very
but yeah,
good.
that's it. That's our birthdays for this week.
But
Another
that's
another
a hell of a
belter.
show. I would say that's a damn good show.
Yeah, no, really enjoyed that one.
That's a damn good show today.
It's a good one.
Um, it's because I'm excited now. You know what
Mm,
I mean? I'm excited. It's we're coming up to Christmas now. You know what I mean? People are getting excited. What can we fill? What gaps can we fill before the big day?
mm,
Well, guess what? Saturday is literally Survivor Series. So I would um I would encourage everyone to watch this. I'm actually, we don't have a WWE sponsorship, by the way. We talk shit about everyone on this show.
yeah, absolutely.
We've talked shit about WWE in the past as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not getting an out on this one. No, I think it's going to be a really good show. Those again,
Mm,
like I love those the way we end the show because it's personal to both me, you, and the audience, and
yeah,
I think the audience probably enjoyed that as well tonight because I like the way you kind of made it very close to Survivor Series, especially with the stories as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was cool.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was good. That was really
And
good.
speaking of gaps, if you've got gaps in your Christmas shopping list, and you have a wrestling fan in your life coming up to Christmas, now would be a good time to get onto the top floor, Wrestling Mania in Stevens Green. We're on Instagram, Wrestling Mania Dublin. We will help you as much as we can in filling that Christmas list. But you better hurry because lead times are tough at the moment in this world. Let us know.
1,000,000%. It might be Black Friday in a couple of days, but guess what? Noel doesn't do Black Fridays. It's literally it's like the old Irish adage always says, when they're gone. So if I was you, I'd get in there and get in there ASAP. Wrestling Mania in the most beautiful shopping centre you've ever seen, Dublin's St. Stephen's Green, top floor, right beside Asher Boutique. Go into Niall. He's right here. Tell him I sent you. Did you like what I done there?
From me to you. From me to you.
From me to, that's the old that's the old
Yeah,
that's the old
share the
advert we
screen.
used to run.
Absolutely.
No, but legit, guys, go and check it out. 1,000,000%. I mean, most of you probably know. Go into Oil and mention that you watch the shows, and he'll probably give you a mug.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Or have a
It's
heart to
cold out
heart
there.
with you and ask you why you're doing it. Love it.
I think that's the perfect way to end the show today.
Absolutely.
Listen, from me, Ian Dynamo Kelly, to you, the listeners, even you basement dwellers, I love you all. Absolutely love you all. Thank you so much for listening. For Niall, the shopkeeper Hogan, we are over and out.